Wait a minute? You mean you can save up to 35% on your camera gear if you buy it from Japan? Do check out the rest of the video to find out more. So in the last video, we talked about the price difference between the camera gear in Europe versus in Japan. And actually, I forgot to mention something, and it's related to being as a tourist, you actually get tax refunds. So that actually makes the gap even bigger. How about other countries, right? So, I mean, we know maybe prices in Europe are a little bit more expensive, but do we see the same trends if we are, for example, based in the US? And based on my research, it seems to point the same direction. Perhaps not the same massive savings that you see when you compare the prices between Europe and Japan, but definitely you will be able to get some savings. And if we just use the same lenses as a comparison, so let me just very quickly take a look here. So starting with the Sony 11mm f1.8 lens, the lens which I'm planning to buy, you can see that buying it in the US will cost you somewhere around $460. But then if you do purchase this in Japan, you will be able to get the lens at about $390. So that's a massive saving of about 15%. Maybe not the same amount of savings that you would get versus the ones that we have discussed in our last episode between Europe and Japan, but this is still quite a bit of saving. But something to also look out for is the Sony 50mm f1.8 OSS lens. We know that this lens is not very expensive, but then still in the US you will probably have to shell out around $300 just to buy the lens new. But then in Japan you will probably be able to get it at about $200. So that's a 35% saving. Next, if we move on to the Sigma 10 to 18mm f2.8 DCDN lens, you see that the price difference here are a lot smaller. So without taking into account of the tax refunds, the prices between Japan and US are actually very similar at about $650. But then because you do get the tax refund, so you get that 9-10% saving between Japan and US. Moving on to the camera bodies. So Sony ZV-E10 in the US will cost about $600 today. Buying it in Japan will actually cost you only $460. So that's a 23% saving. And last but not least, the Sony a6700 camera. Buying it in the US today is going to cost you at about $1,400, and buying it in Japan is only going to cost you about $1,100. So that's a 21% saving. Again, massive. So looking at the prices of the camera gears that I just talked about, you can see that on average, I think at a minimum you should expect 15 to 20% saving. But something to keep in mind when you do purchase your camera gear in Japan versus in the US, on top of the language issue which we covered in the last episode, would be related to the warranty. So if you are indeed concerned about warranty coverage, make sure to read the fine prints, make sure to check and confirm that if you do purchase your camera gear in Japan, that warranty is also extended to the US. But that's it for the episode today. I hope that you find this short video very useful. If you like the content, do like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!